Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Welcome back, fellow breadheads. I hope you had a great holiday filled with cheers and green screens. I am Chris Napier. I will be your host today. I'm filling in for Jay tonight, so look at me. Look at me. I'm the conductor now.
That's scary. That's scary.
Yeah, there you go. With me, as always, are two of the best in the business, starting with the captain of the Green Screens media ship, El Capitan himself. I never know which way to salute. Mike Holland, man. Was Santa good to you this year? Did you get some coal or did you get some green screens?
Yeah, he was good for those green screens the 2 days before Christmas. I think I was plus 400 or 500, so that was nice. I am currently in first in the big jam. We'll see if that holds on. Probably not, but we'll see if it holds on. But yeah, man, I'm excited to I was on earlier about 4 hours ago, so hopefully some of you guys took some of that and made some coin tonight. But yeah, I'm excited, man. We're hopefully going to go on a hot streak headed into the new year.
Yeah, Mike over here doing double duty, just showing how much passion he has for these shows and for college basketball. And of course, we have our Baron of Bread, Mr. Eric Romoff. How we doing, man? What is your New Year's resolution for the upcoming year, my man?
Oh, my New Year's resolution is simple. I plan on taking the money that I have in my DraftKings account and turning it into more money. And if you watched our guy Mike Cook on his live before lock show, you're seeing a lot of flames next to that Core Four. So not currently sitting in first place like some people, but I am sitting with all of my builds over the pay line. So knock on wood, we're geared up for another profitable night, and we're going to try to do the exact same thing tomorrow.
Absolutely, man. That's all we want is more money. That's why we do these shows, and that's why we do this for our breadheads. Moving on through this, man, I just want to say thank you for the comments already. We have Taylor coming in, all aboard with those bread emojis. Love it. We also have Mama Rocks coming in, as always, twice in one day. I don't know if I can handle it. We'll see if Mike can as well. But moving on to we have a big slate tomorrow, right? We have a 5-game slate. Ken Palm lines are here. It starts at 8:30 Eastern tomorrow. It's $1K for first big jam. Mike, you want to give us an overview on what we got going on tomorrow?
Yeah, looking at it, man. I mean, hell, the slate just came out like 2 hours ago, so I don't know what DraftKings. I guess because it doesn't start till 8:30 Eastern, they were like, "Screw it, we're just gonna be chilling." But it's tough pricing. There's some interesting value options, but nothing that's like super exciting. So we're gonna have to get creative. Probably gonna be living through the mid-tier. Eric, what do you got on this slate?
Yeah, I mean, the pricing is really tricky overall, right? Like as we were preparing for the show, there were several guys I was texting you like, what is this guy doing at 9K? Why is this guy 6,500? So there's definitely some tight spots because it's a smaller slate, right? Like it kind of compacts the ownership overall. So I think we're going to see, some of these bigger totals that we'll talk about as we break down all 5 of these games really get overloaded, right? So like, whenever that's the case, the way that you combine your players and you build out kind of the texture of your roster is really how you gain an edge on the field. So we're going to be looking at a little bit more of a nuanced strategy heading into tomorrow's 5-gamer.
Right on, yeah. So get your pencil and pad out, take some notes. We're going to run down, like Eric said, all 5 of these games, which is actually Pac-12 heavy. So thank you guys for having me replace Jay on my Pac-12 night here.
You don't want to be that bored.
Get to talk a little bit about my Sun Devils, but we'll wait on that. We'll wait on that. First game on the slate here that we'll talk about. We got Washington State +7 at Utah. There's a total of 147 on this one. Washington State has an implied total of 70. They are 80th in offense, 51st in defense, 243rd in tempo, 164th in bench minutes used. So they have a soft 8-man rotation. Then you have Utah. They're implied at 77. They're 27th in offense, 52nd in defense, 78th in tempo, 207th in bench minutes used, and they use a soft 9-man rotation. Washington State, Mike, you go ahead and take the reins on that one.
Yeah, man. So Washington State's a little interesting for a couple of different reasons. One, I do like Miles Rice. He's a guard. He's 7,100. As I look over and see if the guy's trying to catch me. So I might be a little distracted. But Miles Rice, man, he's an excellent freshman. High usage rate, high shot rate, can chip in some assists, a really good steal rate. He's flashed, 35, 40 fantasy point upside. So I don't mind, if you're using like a mid-tier build, getting to him. So definitely going to have some Rice here. Jakimovsky, he's a forward. He's 6,800. He's tournament interesting for me. He's a guy that, takes a lot of threes, taking 58 on the season. He's shooting nearly 40%. You combine that with some of his rebounding ability, he can chip in a block. He's somebody that can reach back and give you 30 fantasy points. So it's 6,800. You don't mind that. So those are probably my two favorite plays. Like Oscar Clough, I don't have much interest in him. He's a starter for them. Kamani Huinso, he's a guard at 4,600. I mean, he's a value play. I don't care for the usage rate at 13%, 11% shot rate. I almost never play those guys, but we're starved for some value. So, he's in the player pool. He's flashed a couple of mid-20s games. If he's going to play high 20s minutes and, kind of a last man in, I have 40, 47, 4,800, 4,600. May slot him in a few times, but I'm not going to get that excited about it. Really, I'm looking at Rice. I'm trying to probably one off this Washington State side, Eric. What say you on this Washington State Cougar side?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? Like I talked about it in the Slate overview about how pricing is kind of tough, and it starts with Isaac Jones all the way up at 7.7K. This is one of those spots where, like, yes, he's got considerable upside, right? You look through his game logs and he's, reached into the upper 40s here in the last few games, pretty steadily in kind of the low 30s or upper 20s. So that volatility makes 7.7K kind of hard to stomach. But, smaller slate, there aren't a whole lot of guys that can reach back and almost get to 50. So, there's definitely some interest there. I do think that Jones's price tag is probably going to keep most ownership away from him. And we all know that he's got an absolutely huge role on this team, right? Like, he's sopping up usage left and right. He hands out dimes pretty well for a forward, 12% assist rate, can get a couple of steals here or there. So a lot of different ways that he can hurt you. It's the volatility that makes him risky, but I think that risk is not going to find many people clicking the button. So don't mind going to Jones. The only other name that we didn't talk about here that I think we should at least mention, all the way down to Mullins here, 4K flat. I mean, look, like he's gotten a bit more run recently, so you don't mind the price tag if that trend is going to hold. Very shot dependent kind of guy, right? Like if he's filling it up, that's those are the games where he's paying off this price tag. If he's clanking a few off, I mean, he's got some some single digit fantasy points out there that would just absolutely tank you if you're paying 4K for that, right? So like, really, it's a matter of whether or not he's going to hit his threes. If he does, I mean, that upside is unreal. And where we sit right now, there's not a ton of value on the board. So someone right at the bottom end of the 4K range, I mean, he might be worth a splash here or there.
Yeah, of course. Those guys are always game changers where you get them cheap and they way overperform, right? So that's Washington State. Let's move on to Utah here, Mike. Who do you got on the Utes over there?
Well, the old Utes. I love me some Carlson, right? Like 7,400. I mean, I'd play this guy at 8, 9K. So he's in the player pool. People are going to look at the last game. You can kind of throw that out. Didn't need him that last game. But he's a guy in tight games and impactful play has shown that he can absolutely dominate this league. So, yeah, I mean, give me a 35, 40, 45 fantasy point upside here at 7,400. You'd love to see it, almost a 30% shot rate. He can get you a double-double. Speaking Eric was talking about Jones. I mean, Carlson has an 11% assist rate too. So the offense plays through these guys when your bigs are shooting, getting a ton of shots and they're able to hand out a few assists. Carlson also a really good shot blocker, and he can shoot three. So there's added bonus points from stocks as well as that half-point bonus for three-pointers made. So really like Carlson. Raleigh Worcester is $100 cheaper at the guard position. I'm probably not going to go there. I like him more when he's kind of in that 6K range. This is a little bit tough to swallow, 18% shot rate, but he's going to rack up assists. He's going to grab some steals. 30 fantasy points at 7,300 is a little bit tougher pill to swallow. You kind of want to get up to like Carlson, get into that 35, 40, 45 fantasy point range to win a tournament. I don't mind them if you're like last man in for a cash game. So mild interest in Worcester only for cash games. Lawson Lovering, he's been going off the last couple of games. I wouldn't go here. He's not. I mean, Carlson and Worcester, much bigger pieces of the offense. Even guys like Madsen and Bajima, like they're more important. I just, he's riding a hot streak right now, and I don't think we need to go here. Because obviously his role in the offense isn't that big. He's playing mid-20s minutes, right? The last two games were against, Bellarmine and, another mid-major here. So it's not for me. I'm probably moving on from Lawson Lovering. There's not a ton that I like, man. Eric, I don't like shot-dependent guys, dude. So you getting a little bit of Madsen and Bajima in this thing?
I mean, we can talk about them. But before we do, based on this sub 6K price tag and these, couple of 36 burgers that Lovering has put up, I wouldn't be surprised if he's fairly popular. So fading a player like this and, watching him come back to earth is one of the limited ways that we can create leverage on the field overall. So don't mind that call at all. In terms of the aforementioned shot dependent guys, Gabe Madsen checks that box. 6.5K. I mean, his usage rate is sub 20, which, really underscores just how shot dependent he is. 22% shot rate. What you like about him, shooting 46% from three. He's taken 72 attempts. I mean, he's out there a ton. Just the thing that is kind of a limiting factor is the price, right? Like, we talked about it with Mullins a second ago. When you're 4K and you bang in a couple of threes, like you're really cooking with grease, right? When it's 6.5K, like you don't have that same force multiplier effect. So, yes, he can absolutely fill it up on any given night, but he's going to have to do it a ton to pay off this price tag. So, I mean, kind of like a weird last guy in option, maybe, but he's not a huge priority for me. You mentioned Bajima earlier. I mean, Cole is sitting there right under 5K, 4.8K. I mean, look, like he's out there.
Wouldn't you rather just play Mullins or Hensu? Like,
I mean, kinda, right? Like, yes, you're taking the volatility of shot dependency with Mullins, but I mean, with Cole, like, all cardio kind of guy. He's out there, sort of low 20s minutes, but like all of his rates, like, I mean, he would really have to like trip and stumble over a handful of steals, a couple of boards to, really feel good about paying this off. Like the usage isn't there to justify a near 5K price tag for me.
Gotcha. Good stuff as always. That is Washington State and Utah. Good game going on tomorrow. Looks like we got another comment in from Mama Rocks.
Got Mama Rocks. What up,
What
fellas?
up, Mama Rocks? What up, fellas? Got the crew with you. Mike, you had a great show solo. They're giving you props, man. There you go.
Nice
People
love it, my guy.
Yeah, there you go, man.
You get inside the mind of madness.
I'm over here sweating hard right now on this.
Yeah, and make sure, guys, you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us on all of our handles on X, Twitter, all that good stuff. That way you know when we're going to do live before locks like Mike did earlier today, when we have these shows, when we do our recap shows, giving you a lot of content out there. So make sure you like and subscribe. Get your friends on with us. Get your kids on with us like Mama Rock said, what was it, last week?
Legend.
Moving on, we have our next game on the slate here. San Diego State +5 at Gonzaga. Total on this one is at 147. San Diego State is implied at 71. They're 44th in offense, 21st in defense, 234th in tempo, 302nd in bench minutes used. They have a soft 9-man rotation. Gonzaga is implied at 76. They are 24th in offense, 26th in defense, 81st in tempo, 341st in bench minutes used. They have a 7-man rotation. Mike, let's jump into San Diego State. What you got with them?
Ledie's in the player pool just because of his price tag. It's 8,300. His price tag, and I should say his upside. It's massive, almost a 30% usage and shot rate, 31% rebounding rate. He was first 3 weeks of the season probably the best player in college basketball. So yeah, give me the price discount. I'll play me some Jaden Ledee. The rest of these guys, man, I don't know. It feels like he just sops up so much that I just don't like. The rest of these guys are kind of tournament plays. Like Reese Waters, 5,700. It's not really for me. I know some people used him when, a couple of weeks ago, he had a couple of nice games. It's just not for me. Lamont Butler, I guess of all the guys, everyone else on this San Diego State team is basically under 6K. So they're affordable and it's a pace-up spot, which you like. Lamont Butler's probably the guy that I like the most. He's a decent stacking partner with Jaden Ledee. You can get both of those guys, in a game where they're, pushing the pace. Obviously Gonzaga 81st in tempo, San Diego State 234th. So Gonzaga's going to try to get the ball up and down the court. Lamont Butler, we obviously know him from his game-winning shot. We also know him from his 35 spot that he put up last game. Usage rate's good assist rate, really good defender, can knock down some threes. So I like him as well. Elijah Saunders, I don't know, just not for me at 4,700. I'm really keyed in on Ledee and keyed in on Lamont Butler from this side, Eric. I get nervous about rostering these other, even though the price tags are all right.
Yeah, the pricing apart from Ledee, you can work with it if nothing else, and there aren't a whole lot of games on the slate where you can say that. You mentioned Butler as someone that you could potentially stack. A stacking partner that I like with him is Micah Parrish, 5.8K again, very reasonable, workable price tag. He's one of the few guys that has legitimate slate winning ability, as he just contributes in so many ways, right? Adds in some dimes, 4% steal rate, 45% from range, right? He's getting the pace bump. So for me, I'm probably not going to trot him out there solo, but if you're going to play a Ledee or a Butler and you want to stack it up, Parrish with his 14% assist rate is a solid option. Similarly, I guess moving a little bit further down the board, you've got Darian Trammell, right? 4.5K. He on this slate that passes as value, right? As a little bit of salary relief. Again, he gets the bump with pace. I think the thing with Trammell is he's got more upside in his locker than he's shown recently, right? He's kind of been hovering in these mid-teen ranges, but there's going to be a point where he's going to flash that 25 like he did a half dozen games or so ago. This is a super talented player that, if you're willing to roll the dice, this pace up spot could be the one where he starts to get some stuff going. So don't mind looking at him as I'm combing for value either.
Gotcha. Great stuff for them. Eric, let's stick with you. Let's move over to Gonzaga here. Who are you looking at on this team?
Yeah, the Zags. The thing that we like is they have a bit of a tighter rotation, right? That 7-man rotation that we talked about off the top. A couple of names that jump out to me. Antoine Watson, 7.9K, right? The thing with him, the upside is there and it's legitimate, but he's more of a large field play because of the volatility, right? He can get into the 40s. He's also put up some, 20s and 27s, which just won't do it, at a, near 8K price tag. The thing with him is he usually steps up in big games, right? So, him, maybe EK, one of these guys is looking at, probably a 4 or 5X game in, on this slate. Figuring out which one is probably the difficult part. So feels like it might be a situation where you rotate to 2. Graham Ike, like we mentioned, 7.5K. So you get a little bit of salary relief off of Watson. I mean, he's one of these per minute monsters, right? Like, you look at these game logs, he's barely cracking 20 minutes, but he's putting up 40 burgers, 30 burgers even, right? Like, just let this kid get out there and run. And, he can be an absolutely dominant force. That volatility, kind of like with Watson, is, going to make Ike more of a tournament only kind of play. But, I'm hoping in what projects to be a bit more of a competitive game, a big game for both these teams, really. I'm hoping we see Ike get closer to 30 minutes. And if that's the case, he's probably the priority coupled with the savings. But I mean, for me with Gonzaga, I like paying up to, their 2 premier options. Mike, are you finding anybody that's a little bit lower down the salary structure that you think might be worth a sprinkle?
It's tough with the other guys. Like, I want to play Nimhard. He just hasn't been great, which is weird to say because earlier this year we were like, oh man. So yeah, he's in my player pool, especially for tournaments. You can go to Ryan Nimhard for sure, especially as a stacking partner with spin the wheel on Watson or Ike. So a little interested in Ryan Nimhard. Nolan Hickman's price is really annoying. If he was at in the mid 5s, we'd like him a little bit more. But San Diego State, obviously a really good defensive team, and there's a chance here that this game gets paced down from the Gonzaga side. So tougher defense, obviously, they're going up against. Dusty Schroeder's the other starter. Like, just not for me in this spot. 13% usage, 13% shot rate. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have some just because of we know how good he is, right? I'm gonna play some Nimhard in tournaments, large field tournament only. And yeah, I'll stack him up with a Eco 2-2 here. Like, I'd put a Nimhard with a Watson, flash over to Lamont Butler and Jaden Ledee. So I don't mind it. I don't know that you want to go. I don't know if you want to go too crazy because we got 2 other totals that are sitting 10 points above this total. But it's a way if this game goes overtime and or one of those other games busts, like, this is the perfect game because it definitely could be a game that goes over for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Looks like we got another comment coming in. It looks like it's from Cam, one of our favorites over here, one of our guys.
Yeah.
What to do, boys? Mike holding down first in the $5 single. I'm up to 10th, but late game small slip coming.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm actually in first in the big jam too. So my current winnings right now, it's a lot of money. So I'm like up and down. I don't know, man. It all depends on what Michael Rataj does. Of course, you just got to steal. So yeah, I'm gonna stop watching this, but it should be a good night regardless.
It's good, yeah. Well, hopefully your night continues to go well there. Guys, keep the comments coming. If you have any questions on any of these games during the slate, or if you can think of anything else, let us know. I'm sure Mike will answer, or Eric will answer, because they're the smart ones here, not me. I just write the ship here terribly. Moving on to the next game on the slate here, we have Washington +9 at Colorado. Like you said, this is one that's at 10 points above on the total. So this one's at 157. Washington's total is looking to be 74. They are 49th in offense, 71st in defense, 53rd in tempo, 262nd in bench minutes used. They have a 7 or 8 man rotation there. Colorado is implied at 83. They are 22nd in offense, 35th in defense, 84th in tempo, 179th in bench minutes used. Again, a 7, 8 man rotation. Mike, I'm gonna throw it over to you. What are these Huskies? What Huskies are we gonna be looking at here?
I think you're gonna look at quite a few guys from this game. It's probably my favorite game on the slate. 2 tempos in the top 90, basically. 2 offenses in the top 50. Bench minutes used on Washington, not a lot. And now with some injuries to Colorado, especially Cody Williams, that's bench minutes used at 179, dropping down a little bit there. So Keon Brooks, 7,800. Always have interest in him. I love this price is under 8K. I'm going to have a hard time not clicking his name. Had a hard time not putting him in a core four. So he's like a borderline core four play for us. Just high usage, high shot, does a lot of rebounding. Cool.
He was 10K 5 games ago.
Yeah, 10K 5 games ago. Love it. And Rataj just got a turnover. So there you go. Severe Wheeler at 7,600. Just another awesome play. Anytime you have these massive totals, this guy has a chance to rack up a bunch of assists, 37% assist rate. And he's got some meat on the bone with his 3-point shot. He's only shooting 21%, so you get a couple more of those to go down. He's got some big upside into the 40s. So definitely like Severe Wheeler as well. Not in love with a lot else. Like Moses Wood, he's just kind of there, 15% usage rate. Doesn't really do much else. He's taking 72 threes, though. So if you think this game goes over, he's a nice stacking partner with Wheeler. Wheeler dishing out assists to him. I don't even mind Keon Brooks with him. Prefer the Wheeler to Wood play, though. So, we have to I don't think we really have to pay attention to the Ketnong injury. He's questionable, but even if he plays, it feels like it's going to be a timeshare with Braxton Mia. Mia got the start. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen with Ketnang. He's had injuries like every year. The last like 3 years. It's kind of sad because he's actually a really good player. So they're kind of going to share the 5, and even if not, they'll just put Keon Brooks at the 5 spots. So I love me some Corin Johnson, Eric. Man, like I wish he would play 30 minutes a game. Him and Mulcahy kind of filling in those other spots. Corin Johnson comes off the bench, man. Do you ever read on either one of those guys and if they could be like a tournament winner?
Yeah, I mean, they're both on the court of fair amount, Mulcahy more than Corin Johnson, right? And they, despite being priced around the same, number overall, kind of the mid 5K, Mulcahy at 5.6, they do pretty different things, right? Like Mulcahy is just not really out there trying to score, right? Like he's a guy that's going to rack up assists. He contributes pretty well in terms of stocks, obviously mainly steals. For me, because of his 27% assist rate, he fits in as like a stacking option in this game. Specifically in large field, right? We like overloading this fast-paced, high-scoring game. So the guy that's handing out the dimes is usually going to see, a pretty good scoring total because of it. And in terms of Corin Johnson, like I mentioned, the exact opposite, 5.2K, he's your microwave scorer, right? Like he gets out there and he just fills it up immediately, right? So, to a certain extent, like you were saying with Moses Wood and his 72 3-point attempts, like if we like this game to score up, if we wanted to get to or even surpass its 157-point total, for the Washington side, like Johnson's probably going to need to score a fair amount, right? So both of these guys are in play for me, but kind of for different reasons.
Pick your poison, right? That's kind of what we're looking at with those two guys.
Basically.
Yeah.
And it feels like one of them could be on a large field winner, to be honest with you. This game goes over. Like, Mulcahy has 30 fantasy point upside in these like weird games where he actually does, make 4 of the 4 shots that he takes and then hands out 9 assists and he gets like 3 steals and can grab a couple of rebounds.
A few trips to the free throw line and all of a sudden you're in business.
Exactly. And then Corin Johnson can go out and get 30. He just doesn't play a lot of minutes. But in this game, they needed scoring, like you said. So excited for this game for sure.
Right on. Well, tell you what, Mike, you kind of hold on to the mic here. Let's go over the Colorado guys here. Who you got from the Buffaloes there?
Yeah, obviously the massive implied total, right? KJ Simpson at 8,800. I mean, he's a core play. Dude, like high usage, high shot rate, high assist rate, high steal rate, shooting almost 50% from 3. He's been excellent this year. So going to have some KJ Simpson. Tristan Da Silva, he's a weird pivot. And I say pivot, I know it's a different position. But there's been times where I'll play Da Silva and he'll just go freaking nuts. And I typically get it when KJ Simpson doesn't have his ceiling type games. Typically because Da Silva's getting putbacks. You can run your offense a little bit through him at the forward position. Shoots a lot of threes. You can chip in blocks and steals. So he's kind of last year he put up a 51 at 1% during a slate and won me a big jam. So I always have love for Da Silva, and he's got a 53 2-3 games ago. So like he's so interesting for large field tournaments. I know the largest field I think we had them was only like 450, but you mean probably no one's going to click him because you want to get to KJ Simpson. Lampkin's been playing all right. I don't really have any love for really any of these other. I mean, Hadley's price is just too much now. 15% shot rate, 16% usage rate. Like he does a lot of the little things for them. And I know Cody Williams is out, so he's getting a little bit of a bump there. And he's also getting he's also in a fast-paced environment. It's just the price tag. Like I wish he was closer to 6. I'd feel more comfortable. It feels like some of that upside's kind of taken out. Luke O'Brien's now getting the starts now that Cody Williams is out. I wish Cody Williams was in this game. He'd be a lot of fun to play. But he's more of a spot-up shooter. Shooting 41%. Was a role player, now thrust into a little bit more than a role player on this team as a starter and a guy that they need to stretch the floor. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I've just never really – I just don't have a ton of interest in these guys, man. Like, for me, it's kind of like KJ Simpson, where I'm not playing KJ Simpson. Tristan Da Silva's kind of that play for me. I know Eddie Lampkin's been going crazy, Eric. That's Jay's guy from TCU. So, you think he can do it again, man? The third game of 30+?
Yeah, you mentioned it, right? He's coming in off back-to-back 30-point games. That's also why his price tag is now crept up to 6.2K. So, he really needs to do it to pay that off. Fortunately, this is a game environment that sets up nicely for that. The thing with Lampkin, like it's basically it's scoring and boards. So a lot of things have to go his way to get into those into the 30s in terms of fantasy points. But I mean, as evidenced by these last 2 games, he can certainly do it, right? So Lampkin's he'll be in the tournament player pool, right? I mean, there's a need to find different ways to get into this game. Lampkin is one way to do it. Another way to do it is going down a little bit. You can look at Julian Hammond, 4.7K. I mean, he's kind of sneaky in this one. Like with no Cody Williams, they're really going to lean on Hammond to be that pop off the bench, right? So when he's out there, I expect his usage is going to be a little bit higher than what his season numbers would indicate. And if nothing else, like 17% assist rate at the mid 4K price tag, like if we're projecting a lot of scoring in this game, there's also going to be a fair amount of assists. So don't mind getting to Hammond either.
Yeah, I mean, more scoring the better on our end, right? That's kind of what we look for, right?
More scores than 7 years ago.
Yeah, there you go.
This game can we just end the slate on this tonight's slate? All right.
Well, no, we can't because we have a couple more games here.
No, I mean tonight's slate.
Tonight's slate. Oh, I
gotcha. I was like, I don't want to end it. No, I want to keep hearing your voice, man. Keep going.
Thank you. You're talking to Eric. Okay, never mind. Looks like we got another comment in from Cam there, just wishing you good luck. He says, awesome.
Those vibes.
Dude, Oregon State run out 11. They've already gotten to like 10 guys. Let's go. Just play everybody, man. All love, baby.
All right. Well, to get your mind off of those games, we'll move on to the next one. We have Arizona plus 19 at Cal.
Yikes.
Their points are at 157 there. Arizona is implied at 88 points. They are 6th in offense, 2nd in defense, 8th in tempo, 166th in bench minutes used. They have that 7-man rotation. Cal, only 69 implied points. They are 109th in offense, 246th in defense, 220th in tempo, 243rd in bench minutes. Arizona has a lot of single-digit numbers in those rankings, don't they? And I said plus 19. I meant minus 19. Of
course,
on me. My bad. But
I would take that. I would take that bet in a heartbeat.
Right?
I would jump right off the stream and call my guy.
That's definitely a game that like something crazy happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, minus 19. Yeah, I mean they're heavily favored in here, man. So I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of points scored on the Arizona side here. Mike, who you looking at? Are you looking at on the Wildcats here?
Yeah, I'm looking, and a lot of plays that I want to get to, but the price that the two guys I really like is kind of annoying now. Caleb Love is 8,500. Yeah, he dropped 35 in that FAU game, which was an awesome game to watch. Probably the game of the year, honestly, showing that FAU is for real this year. But Caleb Love, man, like just the rates, like he's just such a good player. He can get you a 40, closing on a 50. I just don't know that it's this game, especially in a blowout situation. So probably no love for me here. Ballo, I'm not really going to play him either at 8,200. It feels like, Krivas and some of these other guys are going to get some run off the bench, especially if it's going to be a 20-point game. He's been playing really well recently too. So I'm trying to jump off the ship at a high point here. So it feels kind of weird. Like they're implied for 88, but I'm more interested in like Keelan Boswell as per usual at 6,100, like back-to-back 30 plus. Just real solid, like real good cash, but has some tournament upside to him. Good usage, good shot rate, good assist rate, good steal rate, really good 3-point shooter. So have some Keelan Boswell in my lineups for sure. Jaden Bradley at 3,900. I feel like he's kind of sneaky. I don't know if a lot of people are going to go to him. They're going to see kind of his game log. They'll see the last game, so maybe they will. But at 3,900, like he can get 20 plus minutes again. I would love it. It's just whether or not he's going to get 22 to 25 minutes would be great. So yeah, man, I think for me, I'm trying to stay on the cheaper side because like all the guys that I liked earlier, I mean, they're all 8K. I'm talking about the Silva, Simpson, Severe Wheeler. Like I gotta. Jaden Ledee, I got to try to figure out some guys that are not as expensive because I only have so much money to play with. And the Arizona guys are just kind of scary for me. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, the total's fine, but the blowout potential, I think, is what really makes this one kind of tricky to navigate. The guys we haven't talked about, Keshad Johnson, 7.2K, you get a little bit of a haircut, so don't mind that. The thing with Key is like he's super volatile, thanks in large part to how many blowouts this team has been in, and also the emergence of Ballo over these last couple of games. So for me, he feels like he's much more of a tournament play. All of his rates are stellar, right? 20% usage, 20% shot, 27% rebounding, 10% assist. Chip and dip those steals and blocks 3% on each, and he's shooting right at the Jay Heinrich line, 35% from three. So I'll probably sprinkle in some Keshad Johnson in the larger fields, but not someone that I'm really kind of going out of my way to fit in. The other name that I think we should probably talk about, Pelle Larsson, someone that we haven't really been playing a whole lot in DFS, but here lately, like he's shown a bit of upside, right? He's 27, 37. He's got a 19 mix in there, and then 34 in the game before that. So that'll do just fine in the mid 6Ks. The question with him is how much the blowout kind of limits his upside, right? If they let some of these bench options get a bit more run, I don't think you need to go out of your way to get here. But the hot hand is kind of a thing. So if you're really looking to get weird, you can do it, but it's probably not for me with Larsson.
Gotcha. Now I have a quick question before we move on to the Cal lineup here. If you are looking at this potential blowout that's coming in, they're not going to play their big guys as much, right? Are you looking at the bench guys more, like you were kind of saying, or are you looking more at the other side of the ball?
I think it's just harder to stack for one. Like I really don't want to stack multiple guys that are expensive, which is why getting someone like Boswell and Bradley for me, getting into this game at under right at 10K,
under 12K,
yeah, exactly. So I think that's kind of the way I want to go. Also, you can probably use some of I don't know. The backup bigs are just so tough to get to because they only play 15 minutes. Cal could get this. It's a league game, you know what I mean? So this could be competitive. It's at Cal. So, like, if you think the game script is Cal keeps it close in the first half, that's exactly what happened today in this Oklahoma game. And the reason why I'm sitting in first in the big jam and the $5 single entry is because I overloaded on the the Oklahoma side. So if you think that Cal can keep this game close, I don't mind going to a 3-1 Arizona to Cal if Cal comes away later in the game and blows them out. So just because it says -19, like Oklahoma ended up pulling away, but it was until like the last 6 minutes of the game. And I think they didn't cover, but still, like they pulled away and got their bench guys in. I think they ended up winning by 15 or 16. So, yeah, I mean, great point, Chris. I think for me, though, it's just I want to try to get into this game cheap because I want to play the more expensive guys in the Washington-Colorado game.
Right, exactly. You're looking for more value in this
exactly.
game here. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, like we were talking about, speaking of Cal, Eric, you want to start us off with the Bears over here. Tell us who you got.
Yeah. Farnaz Amack is the player I was alluding to as being completely like befuddled to see him up past and into the 9K range, right? Like the price, to see him priced here is just kind of crazy, especially when you consider a very tough matchup, facing off against guys like Ballo and Key Johnson. I mean, his rates and his play recently, justify this price tag, but it doesn't feel super comfortable considering the context of the game. So you want to mix them in tournaments, you can. Not a major priority for me. I like saving $1,000 and going to Jalen Tyson. It's kind of a curious situation, right? Like he was just one of these like cash lock kind of players, just so steady in like the mid to upper 30s game in and game out. And then the last game he just didn't start and his production showed it, right? He put up a 23. So, the prices come down a good bit. He was also up in that 9K range. They're in a pace up spot where they're going to need to lean on him to do some more scoring. So, Tyson is a real nice tournament play in my book. And then after that, I mean, Mike, you can maybe splash around with some of the lower price guys or sort of, these secondary pieces. Who else is catching your eye for the fighting Madsons over here?
For the old fighting Madsons. Like Jalen Cone and Keontae Kennedy, kind of at that annoying price point.
Yeah.
Especially when you're only implied for.
I don't like it here.
Yeah. What are we implied for? 60, 69? Yeah. I don't know, man. Like Cone and Kennedy are kind of. I don't want to say cross-offs because, like I was explaining earlier, but it's like you want to play. Like if the game's close, it's probably because of Tyson or Amack. So for me, probably not getting to Cone or Kennedy. Blowout potential, I kind of like someone like Askew, former Texas player, started his career at Kentucky. Injuries last year and this year. He's got 20 fantasy point upside. This is probably a game where if it blows out, they're going to want to get him out there. So a little bit of juice to squeeze out of him, I feel like, in this spot. Jalen Celestine, he got the start, 3,700. Put up 19 fantasy points. I mean, he's super shot dependent, 13% usage rate. It doesn't feel great. But the one thing you can say about Arizona is that, like, sometimes we talk about, like, the Gonzaga guys, like, could they get paced down by San Diego State? Yes. There's no chance Cal's going to slow down Arizona because they have Caleb Love and guys that want to shoot the ball a ton. So, like, they are going to get paced up. So it makes them a little interesting, but I'm trying to get into this game cheap again. Tournaments, I don't mind spinning the wheel on a Tyson or an Amack, but you better probably get to not only Jaden Bradley and Boswell, but you better get up to someone like a Key Johnson or a Ballo or a Caleb Love to go with it because you're going to want this game to stay close for sure. Other than that, man, yeah, there's just not much else. But Celestine and Askew, they're in the player pool for value for sure.
Perfect. Yeah, man. Well said. Looks like we have Mama Rocks in the comments here. Value so thin on this slate.
Yeah, absolutely. Which sucks because I just named off all the expensive guys I'm going to play. So I am going to be praying. And you know what's annoying? I'm looking at it now, and I put my best lineup tonight in the $5. So I should have 5 extra points in the $15, but of course I don't. So it's just so annoying.
It makes for a better sweat. What are you talking about?
Always point chasing, there you go, man.
Oh God. Just kill me now in the second half.
Now we get to move on from those Wildcats that I hate. Move on to my favorite team, the Arizona State Sun Devils. They are +5 at Stanford. Implied total on this game is 143. Arizona State is implied at 69 points. They're 243rd in offense. Stop laughing. They're 46th in defense, 65th in tempo, and 307th in bench minutes. They have a 9-man rotation, more healthy than earlier this season for sure. Stanford is implied at 74. They are 95th in offense, 109th in defense, 119th in tempo, and 173rd in bench minutes. They have that 8-man rotation. Mike, stop laughing and let's get through this here. Tell me which Sun Devils I should play, or should I just turn off the game?
No. I think they're kind of interesting. First, let's start with Brock Purdy. He's 10,000. Oh wait, all right. That's an inside joke for everybody out there. All right. Brock Purdy's won. Well, first of all, Brock Purdy's made 4 people millionaires this year, which is freaking awesome. Frankie Collins.
Not himself though.
Yeah. Not yet, man. Until the 49ers fork over $200 million. All right. Frankie Collins, guard at 7K. I don't know. I can't get to these guys. I can't get to him. Jemiah Neal, guard forward, 6,400. I can't get to him. These guys are volatile tournament plays. I am trying to get in cheap on this game on this side as well. And Alonzo Gaffney, look, I get it. This is for large field, and I hate that it's not larger than it is tomorrow, but I'm going to have at least one share of Alonzo Gaffney because he can absolutely nuke a slate, and it's just so random. Do not play him. Let me do this, and let me enjoy the 8 fantasy points he's going to put up. But Alonzo Gaffney is in my ridiculous player pool, making one of my 20 lineups. Jose Perez, 6,200. Since your boy, Adam Miller has now gotten his waiver, it's kind of hurt all these guys, man. I did have a little interest in Perez, but, a lot of people got burned by Miller, and we put him in our core. I ended up winning some money because I faded him on some of those. He's 70% and dropped an 8, man. We got to go back to the well, though, on Miller, right?
We absolutely have to go back to the well. My day one can't quit you from his LSU days. Absolutely still holding his place in my heart. And I am thrilled that he's coming off of this 8-point spot because nobody is going to go back there. But if you take a little bit of a closer look, 8 points in that last game, played 25 minutes. The game before, he played 30 minutes. He put up 32. And in that 8-point spot, he took 10 shots. If he's going to take 10 more shots at 4.8K and be, largely overlooked, this might be one of my favorite tournament plays, but I'm the sicko that can't quit Adam Miller. If anybody else wants to get their freak on and ride with me, I think it's going to be a fun ride.
I think a lot of people are going to get their freak on, man, because I don't know, dude. People get burned and they're like, I'm not doing this again. And honestly, Arizona State is that team. Unlike the 49ers, you want to play a lot of those guys. The Arizona State side, you look up and it's their implied total was 70. Why do they have 54 points scored? It's just so annoying. It looks like I got a couple of comments here. Mama Rock dropping in. Fork's not looking good on Ken Palm. We got to play a little bit better than the top 200 offense. They are forked. Yeah. Miller will be in 80% for me. Yeah. So
my guy
Cam's rolling with you. I'm gonna put in I'll have him at 80%, and then somehow I'll find my way to 30, and then I'll be waving to you guys as I'm gonna wave goodbye to first place here in the second half of the Oregon State game. But anyway, there you go. Let's go, Eric Cam. Come on, man. Don't just because this guy's gonna play doesn't think Adam Miller. He's gonna be at least 50%, bro. Maybe not. Yeah. Maybe 40.
For sure.
I'll take the under. DFS players love to chase, right? They see what happened most recently. They think it's going to happen again.
We're the opposite, which is why we only win every now and then.
Yeah,
We're
right.
contrary. You can't keep doing this.
You can't keep getting away with it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you say about the point totals and everything like that, because I think it was last week, Arizona State was playing, I forget who. I texted you guys at halftime and said Sun Devils have only scored 13 points in the first half.
Yeah, I think it was that Northwestern game.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on from my Sun Devils that just disappoint me. Going into Stanford. Mike, why don't you get us through Stanford here? Who we looking at?
The news we have to look at. Spencer Jones is questionable again. Lower leg injury. That doesn't sound great. So I don't know what we do with him. But if he's in, like you want to play him because he's 6,300. Spencer Jones, he's a guy that can get 40 fantasy points, high rates. But if he's out, a bump to everybody else on this side, especially with a team at home that's implied for 74 points. Arizona State's good defensively. Now we make fun of them for their offense, but they're top 50 defense. And the times that we've played these guys against Arizona State, like they just muck the game up. Make it real ugly. Look at Northwestern. Look at some of these other guys that they played, and it's just been like grind out sessions. So I'm gonna be real careful here. Brandon Angel, large field option only. You don't need to go here. He's just kind of interesting. Jared Bynum. I don't know what's going on recently with this guy. He should be able to put up 30 fantasy points on this team. For the big jam, I'll have a share or two of him because I know his upside. Like we've seen it multiple times over the years, even this year. So I have a slight interest in tournaments for Bynum. Andre Stojakovic, yes, that's Stojakovic. Kind of starting now with Spencer Jones, dealing with whatever he's got going on. He's 5K, but really, like, I don't feel like any of these guys are that playable, man. Like I'm not excited about this game. It's in the Hammer game, which is so annoying because I always get run down by somebody that goes 3.2x, which is going to happen tonight. But like, it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of meh for me. Like I'm kind of with Eric, like it's Adam Miller. Maybe that's it for me on this slate, man. Eric, like, is there anybody else? Are you interested in Reynaud? Like, I don't know. I don't get excited about his upside.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested. The lack of upside is really the thing that makes it hard at 7.3K, right? Like he's a really good big man. You like what you see in terms of his rates, 26% usage and shot, 34% rebounding. So he's cleaning up the glass. He facilitates pretty well for a big, right? 13% assist rate. I think he's in the tournament pool, and I think he's a player that you can feel pretty good about getting into the high 20s, low 30s with, but
kind of like a cash, right? Like it's just,
like where's the 40 in there? I say he's in the tournament pool because it's a short slate, right? So like finding a guy that can contribute in that way is not nothing, but yeah, it's just it's kind of a bummer that he hasn't popped that upside. I mean, for the rest of Stanford, like who? Mike Jones, 6K flat, another shot dependent guy who's out there a ton. I mean, like I try my best not to make my living playing 6K guys that need to fill it up a ton, right? Like that's much more of like a 4 to 5K play kind of consideration. So I mean, you can do it. It's not for me.
Watch him hit 6 tomorrow.
Yeah, dude. Like take $1,200 off his price tag and I'll consider it. And
right.
Now he's about
now
to
have
like his Kobe Bryant like 81 point game tomorrow. Just everything going through. But I'll be on the sidelines when that happens with Mike Jones.
Mike Jones. Perfect. That is Arizona State and Stanford, where ASU will probably get pummeled. We have one more comment here. Looks like it's from Cam. Where do you guys get your usage percentage stats?
That would be good old $21.99. I actually just renewed my subscription today. Ken Palm. It is like looking at the Matrix. When you first look at it, it's terrifying. I got it about 3 years ago, and then it's just like I was texting Eric the other day. I was like, I'm seeing DFS in like a whole other dimension right now. So yeah, check it out. It's great for the price. Like all these other places, like good Lord, they're charging some prices to get some advanced stats. And it's like I want them, but I'm not willing to. I got to win a big jam every week to pay that thing off. So yeah, great question, Cam. Appreciate it, man.
Great question. Mike is comparing himself to Neo as we speak here. Like,
he knows kung fu.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, those are the games on the slate there. Make sure you took your notes. If you have any other questions, definitely hit us up in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can get more content like this as the year progresses, as we march towards March Madness coming up here later in the year, in the upcoming year, I should say.
Stat correction, 2 more points for me. Let's go. Okay, my bad.
Well, Mike, since you're celebrating over there, how about you give our viewers here the core 4 for tomorrow's slate? One of the names on here, I think you were kind of poo-pooing him earlier, weren't you?
No poo-poos, man. That's just your guy, dude. Like, for cash games, no poo-poo for cash games. You have to play Adam Miller. Like, it's 4,900. He's still too cheap. Burned everybody, but you got to go there. It's just too much usage. They need his scoring. They won't score 64 if he doesn't score. And they didn't score whatever their implied total was against Northwestern because he didn't score. So, Adam Miller's in that spot. Corin Johnson, 5,200, 20 fantasy points in 4 straight games. It's a big total. Get him in there for cash locks. Carlson for Utah at 7,400. And make sure you click the right Carlson. And he's basically a lock for at least 30 fantasy points, especially in a tight game. Just massive rates. And then KJ Simpson at 8,800. Massive total in that Washington game. Just a stud point guard, man. High 3-point rate, the assists, the minutes. We're just gushing all over him. So, Miller, Johnson, Carlson, and old KJ Simpson, which leaves you $5,925 per player, which is really nice. I left you guys, with 5,100 earlier. So let me win this big jam. All right, Eric, let's go over to you for the tournament core 4.
Yeah, we've been talking all night about how value is a little thin on this slate. So I'm gonna go spend up in my core 4. Talked about how much I love this guy when we were breaking down the game in particular, but Jalen Tyson at 8K flat, right? Like, loves to shoot. You know, this is a game where they're gonna need him to try to overcome that deficit that they're facing, or at least projected to. Should play major minutes. Key Johnson, I talked about his about how volatile he can be. Part of the other side of that range is that he can definitely be a guy that can put up a ton of fantasy points in a hurry, right? So don't mind going there, absorbing some of that risk. On the San Diego State side, I'm going to spend all the way up to Jaden Ledee, 8.3K, right? Like, he's on a very short list of players that can get you 50, and he hasn't really needed to get into huge minutes over these last few games, right? So, should be in a position to get close to that ceiling. And then finally, I'll weave in a little bit of value with Mullins here, right? 4K flat. I mean, he's out there a ton, right? This is a spot where a couple extra threes go through, and you're definitely on easy street paying off this 4K price tag. So largely paying up with some ceiling, kind of volatile guys, and then trying to save a little bit of money with Mullins at 4K flat leaves you just over 5.6K remaining per player.
Perfect. So you got your core 4s to build your lineups around. If you have any questions, hit us up in the comments. Again, make sure you like and subscribe our channel here. Keep an eye out for us on Twitter, X. What does Jay say? Elon's hellhole is what he calls it, right? So I always like hearing that. But if you have any questions, hit us up on there. But until then, if I don't personally see you, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Be safe out there. It's a lot of crazy people. Just stay at home. Hang out with your family. Hang out with your friends at home. Don't drive.
Play some DFS.
Exactly. There you go.
Donate some money to your boys. Now I'm getting cocky. I gotta stop. All right.
Well, until then, guys, appreciate it as always. Let's go get that bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.